designs of symbols for it. Every ancient people appear to have had their own idea of what design and which figure best symbolized the 8 roads to heaven. The life symbol, crux, ansata, or ankh. Although now known as an Egyptian symbol only, like the scarab, it is very old. It is found in the writings of the first civilization, also carved on the stones of the North American cliff dwellers or their predecessors. The life symbol is a compound of 2 symbols. The O loop at the top symbolizes a mouth or gateway. It was from the Egyptian that the symbol of Venus, the looped cross, originated, and with this adaptation a new vestment was given to it. With Venus it symbolized the triumph of spirit over bodily matter, the soul over materialism. Venus was the Roman and Aphrodite the Greek. We find among the Egyptian relics that many of the symbols were very much ornamented. In the ancient writings I have come upon plain unornamented ones. All of the Egyptians were, however, not ornamented. An example is the base on which the seat of Osiris rests in the Great Hall of the Truth. Here it is many times repeated. Among the cliff dwellers and their predecessors, there is a tendency to curve the perpendicular member of the cross, thus, which has led many archaeologists astray, inducing them to give the glyph an erroneous meaning. The roadway of the soul. I have found in my many wanderings 2 figures prominently placed, but never came across the name by which they are called, as they are generally found on the outside of and on the walls of the ceilings of burial chambers. I have given them the name as shown in the above caption. Some day perhaps their correct name may be known. Then this temporary name can be abandoned. For many years the spiral figure shown in cut has been a puzzle to me. It has been found along all the line of the great Uyghur migration. The picture I am showing above comes from Newgrange, County Meath, in Ireland. The figure is either an explanation of the esoteric or hidden meaning of the hierarchical letter N in Mu's alphabet, or the letter itself, highly embellished. I cannot say which. After careful study of the many writings of Mu in which the letter N appears, I find a slight variation in them. Sometimes they are formed thus, sometimes thus. The difference are, in one the ends are left open, in the other they are closed, there are no ends. As there are no ends, the figure becomes a continuous line, returning to the starting point, and proceeding on as it can find no place to stop. It is therefore equivalent to a circle which has no beginning or no end. In this picture from Newgrange, it will be seen that the spirals have no ends, but when the center is reached, the line returns in on itself. There is no starting point in either of the spirals, and no end is given. Consequently, these spirals are also the equivalent of a circle. In the sacred writings of Mu, we are told that man's soul lives on and on until it finally reaches the source of its origin. In 1320 BC, on an Egyptian papyrus, it says, "If we live on, we must continue forever, and if we continue forever, like the circle and eternity, man had no beginning." Here we find 2 ancient references to man's soul, having no end or no beginning. These spirals have no end or no beginning, and are generally found associated with the passing on of the soul in burial chambers of the material body. A careful study of this symbol, and where and under what circumstances it is found, leads me to the belief that these hitherto unreadable spiral symbols give the meaning of the hieratic letter N in Mu's alphabet, that they are intended to depict the continuance of the soul from one cycle to another, from one incarnation to another, eventually ending whence it came. In the Newgrange picture, which I have shown, there are 3 spirals all running into each other without end. I take it that the 3rd spiral is meant to indicate the passing of the soul from one world to another, or maybe to some other body in the universe specially prepared to receive it. On the walls of Newgrange there are carved other symbols, spirals, squares, zigzags, etc. This is a spiral, with the end pointing to the right in an ancient Uyghur symbol meaning going to somewhere. It is also found in Mexico among the North American Indians. This is a spiral with the end pointing left, is the corresponding symbol saying coming from. The original cosmogonic form or picture was a square. When placed flat, it symbolized the earth. When placed on its end, it was to show the 4 cardinal points in reference to the 4 pillars. This is a square within a square placed in the end to symbolize that something has gone from it. This is the Uyghur mountain in the Chinese Yo. It is the equivalent of the triangle. Freely read, it means ascended. This is a zigzag or herringbone, with the points defined as the universal ancient symbol for a tank fire, an abyss of molten fire without flames, prominent in Egyptian symbology. All these glyphs are on the stones of Newgrange. I would not attempt to write a legend without seeing the stones personally. No draughtsman ever draws the ancient figures, as they are identically shown on the stones. This has been my experience. Consequently, no reading, or erroneous reading, would be made. This is a figure found under the identically same circumstances as the previously aforementioned spirals, found along the lines of the Mayas and Koreans, running easterly from the Motherland. It is composed of the hieratic letter H, rather, two of these letters following one another but connected with each other. The second is drawn in reverse of the first one, symbolizing a return. These are generally found in the entrance of burial chambers. The Tree and the Serpent. This work would be incomplete to me if I omitted the tree and the serpent. Innumerable legends about the serpent and the tree are found in all religions. The tree is invariably called Tree of Life, and the serpent entwining it, Tempter, or whatever else signifies Satan. The tree and the serpent started as a legend, then gradually drifted into myths, the climax being reached when the tree was created with its fantastic crop of apples. These apples became necessary to carry out the myth of how otherwise old Satan could tempt Eve to eat apples, and Eve tempt Adam. They were needed to accomplish the downfall of Adam. By this action, poor woman has been made the cause of every ill befalling mankind. It is a monumental piece of cowardice on the part of man to put that responsibility on the shoulders of one woman. The irony is that a man and not a woman was to blame. The Eve alibi has stood for nearly 3,000 years, but it now must be set aside. Had Ezra been able to read correctly the symbols which appeared in the writings of Moses, he would have given a very different version of the wily old serpent in the Tree of Life. The small vignette comes from the sacred inspired writings of Mu. These sacred writings teach that there is only one real life on this earth, which is the soul of man, in which these writings sometimes call the man, also the inner man. It was taught that man's material body was only a temporary habitation. All other forms which were known to us as life are of temporary nature also. They are taken from the earth, and to the earth they must return. Of all these forms of earthly creations, man only had one imperishable part which survived the material body and lived on forever. Therefore, man's soul was the only true life on earth. Man first appeared on earth in the land of Mu. Therefore, the first actual life on earth appeared in Mu. In these writings, a man is also spoken of as a fruit. Trees bear fruit, and man was the first fruit of a tree, and the fruit was life. The land of Mu was the tree of life. Thus Mu symbolizes the tree of life. In this vignette, the tree is shown as having a serpent coiled around it, thus surrounding the tree. It is an unadorned serpent, therefore it is Khan, the symbol of Kana, the great waters, the ocean. Here it is symbolically shown that Mu was surrounded by water. Mu had no land connections with any other continental land. The serpent is the waters surrounding Mu. The foregoing shows and intelligently explains what the Tree of Life was, and why a serpent was coiled around it. What Moses undoubtedly wrote were plain facts in symbolic language, a symbolically written history, true in all respects. Translations, erroneous and misleading, perverted his writings. The Sacred Seven. The original Sacred Seven was the 7 great commands of the Creator. These were given to the 4 great primary forces to carry out His will, command, or wishes, thus emanating from the Creator. They are the creative forces of the Almighty. The predilection of ancient peoples in their sacred ceremonies for the use of the numeral 7 is very great and conspicuous.
Yeah.